The objectively most used phrase in American politics is that this election is the most important election of all time, or most important election of our lifetime, or something of the sort of that. Now, usually that ends up being wrong and, stupid, mainly because we're viewing it from our own personal point of view. In the time, we're viewing ourselves as more important. Now, I'm going to tell you that 99% of the time, I would not say this, but I would say these midterms elections are not probably, but definitely very important. I wouldn't say that the most important election of our lives, but for this particular time, I would say that the midterms coming up are the most important elections, at least of this decade. So why do I say that? What does that mean, really? For starters, it's the midterms, so this kind of is like a real popularity contest because we need to really look at it. Because right now they're saying Democrats are ahead, and that position is whoever's in office, usually they lose the House. Now I'm betting right now, as it looks, that Republicans will lose the House. Willing to bet that's likely to what's going to happen, and they're likely to. I wouldn't say they're likely to lose the Senate, but it would probably be very close in the Senate, which is something a lot of people didn't think would happen, actually. A lot of people said that the Senate would actually stay Republican, at least for a very, very, very long time. Now, why that's important now is because not only are these things shifting, but issues are shifting. It's no longer about abortion. It's no longer about gender rights or women's rights. But it's also, primarily, it's about the economy. It's about this new class. And a lot of things that I'm seeing right now of why it's important are the party changes. Particularly in the Democrats, I want to say. But the Republicans too, which we're going to get into. One of the main issues that I am seeing, which I'm glad a lot of people are starting to, get on this a little bit, is regarding corruption with large donations, with PACs, with all these things that are becoming a big deal. It's in my generation. I keep seeing a lot of people who are taking pledges not to take PAC money, certain donations, certain things that they just won't take those money. Now, Democrats, you're seeing a more progressive wing, with these Musab Alis, these Mamdanis, etc., etc. I keep seeing these new campaign videos of these guys who are trying to be appealing to a more progressive base by kind of going against the PACs and corporate monies and all these things that I can't really say for now. But a lot of those, I keep seeing more and more of these candidates for the Democrats. And then you look at the Republicans, I'm seeing more and more in the party. It's losing control, and it's becoming tightened under Trump. It's becoming the Trump party. Just look what happened to Thomas Massey because he wouldn't listen to Big Daddy. But I think overall, the way we're heading is very diametrically opposed to Trump's kind of way of moving. I would say they're more the dissident rights, like a lot of influences under Nick Fuentes, who I'm not really the biggest fan of anymore, but regardless, you have that. You have someone like that. You have, Sneeko, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson. A lot of people are getting more dissident, more anti-Trump. It's kind of becoming the forefront of these issues in the Republican Party is who's going to win out, which faction is going to take power here. And so I think because there's such a split in the Republican Party, and that, the more dissident Republicans aren't planning on voting, they're planning on severing from the Republican Party, I think it's safe to assume that we're entering into kind of a pivotal moment for both parties, but primarily for the Republicans in terms of who's going to stay on top or not. Is this going to be 1,000 years of Trumpism, or is it going to be a new reform in a sense of how the party's going to move? Is it going to be like the Tea Party revolution? Just another infighting like what happened with the party swaps. That was happening in the Democrats between the Southerners and the rest of everyone else in the Democrats. So kind of the main point with that. And I have two main predictions for the future. If you look at the Democrats, you have two roads again. A more radical, more progressive, like again, this more trained towards, we have to abolish ICE and fight for the 2S LGBTQIAA plus LMNO PQRSTU VWXYZ. Or again, it's going to stay in the more corporate Democrats, PAC funded, whatever. Now I'm seeing victories on both sides where more or less. I see more momentum coming in this new wing, more or less anti-corruption, which I like, but again, some of their policies are very silly, which I can't really get behind fully, but let them do what they want with that. But again, there is the possibility that they just barely hold on to power on the corporate democratic side of things, and it's just more corruption, and you have more people who sit in office for 40 years and take money and money and money. And then you look on the right, you have two options, which is a neo-Trump party, at least till 28 or 32 in those election cycles for president, where defeats or whatever will happen, and I think that'll be kind of the collapse of MAGA. That'll be like the official starting of something new, something different, how things will change, how that'll look, but we'll come to see that. Or the Republican Party slowly over the next couple of years, and possibly this is the turning point in these midterms, where more Republicans are getting voted out because of their association with Trump or whatever, and that gives more power kind of to the anti-Trump forces in the Republican Party, who are more, could be neocons, they could be the America First, they could be just dissident, who knows. But we're coming to see that change very soon. So we'll come to see that happen. And those are the two main things. Or there's a third option where both parties kind of collapse in on themselves and they have to go form different sects of their own parties, and we could end up in a multi-party system like in most other countries, and we'll see how that looks. I mean, who knows? Because how would that work with the Electoral College? How would that work with all these sorts of things that are just major questions that we have to be concerned for. And in conclusion, I just kind of gave you everything there. Thank you all for watching. I'm kind of getting back to the swing of things because school's finally out. I'm sorry it's been a minute, but yeah. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.